Imagine a sister of battle, marked by prophecy, branded as heretic and miracle alike, and at her side, an outcast Harlequin, a wanderer of the Eldari, condemned by his own kin. Together, they are hunted across the galaxy by daemons, zealots, and even their own people. This is the story of Ephrael Stern and Kyganil, the Saint and the Outcast.
Welcome back to Brush and Blood, where Warhammer meets the real world. Today I'm painting Ephrael Stern and Kyganil, one of Warhammer's most unusual duos. As I layer their robes, armor, and weapons, we'll dive into their story, why a sister of battle and a Harlequin would stand together, and what it means to fight not just enemies, but fate itself. Disclaimer: this episode is for entertainment purposes only. Lore and history details may not be exact. This is about storytelling and painting minis. Now let's begin. Lore and background. Ephrael Stern was born to the Schola Progenium, raised from childhood to serve the Imperium with unshakable faith. She became a battle sister of the Order of Our Martyred Lady, fighting with the fire and devotion of the Emperor's will. But on the convent world of San Lior, Stern's life changed forever. The warp touched her not as corruption, but as revelation. She began to see visions, feel truths buried even from the ecclesiarchy. To some, she was a miracle. To others, a heretic. She became the Daemonifuge, the one who slays daemons with faith alone. Yet because of this, she was marked for death by the very Imperium she served. Kyganil was once a Harlequin of the Laughing God, a warrior dancer who performed the cycles of Eldari myth. But he rejected his mask, refusing to play the role his people demanded. For that, he was exiled, stripped of belonging, cast adrift with only his blades and his wit. 2 exiles. One human, one Eldari. Bound not by loyalty, but by destiny. Together, they became fugitives chased by chaos, mistrusted by the Imperium, and shunned by the Eldari. Lore vignette: the Battle of Parnis Reef. Here's one of their strangest tales. On the world of Parnis Reef, Stern and Kyganil were cornered by both daemons and the Inquisition. Imperial forces had orders to kill her on sight, while the warp split open above the reef, spilling horrors into the skies. Kyganil leapt from rock to rock like a phantom dancer, blades flashing in arcs of silver. Each slash cut daemons into ribbons of smoke. Stern stood at the shoreline, chanting litanies that thundered louder than the storm. Every verse burned horrors to ash as waves of warp spawns surged toward her. And then came the twist. The Inquisitor who had come to execute her saw the truth. Without Stern and Kyganil, the planet would have fallen. The pair saved the very soldiers sworn to end them. That is the essence of their story. Faith in exile, miracle and heresy, survival against a galaxy that wants them dead. Together they endure because destiny demands it. The Midnight Massacre of Valan Prime. Another tale comes from Valan Prime, a shrine world under siege by chaos warbands. The defenders were collapsing, their cathedrals burning, as daemons poured through broken sanctums. Stern and Kyganil arrived at midnight when the sky itself seemed aflame. Stern's prayers echoed like thunderclaps, each word a spear of light that shattered daemons into clouds of ash. Kyganil danced among the ruins, moving faster than the eye could follow, his twin blades carving glowing arcs that left nothing but silence in his wake. At the height of the battle, a greater daemon of Slaanesh descended, its laughter breaking mortal minds. Stern did not falter. She stood before it, bloodied but unbowed, reciting the Emperor's name as her voice became a storm. Kyganil struck in perfect rhythm with her words, each syllable guiding his blades. Together they cut down the abomination, banishing it in a blaze that lit the night like dawn. By the next morning, the survivors whispered of angels in exile, who had walked the battlefield, not saints, not heretics, but something stranger. Heroes who should not exist, yet who arrive when all hope is gone. Ephrael Stern is called the Daemonifuge, the woman fated to slay daemons. whether she wishes it or not. She began not in codexes, but in Black Library comics, making her one of the rare Warhammer characters to leap from the page into miniature form. Kyganil's fighting style is acrobatic and unpredictable, balancing Stern's unyielding faith with speed and guile. Together, they are paradox, incarnate, holy and heretic, human and Eldari, faith and doubt, the saint and the outcast. Real-world parallels exile, prophets and saints. Their tale echoes countless stories from our own history. Prophets are often hated in their own time, only to be revered later. Saints have been condemned as heretics before they were sanctified as holy. Outcasts like Kyganil mirror Ronin, wandering poets, and exiled warriors who discovered new purpose outside their people's laws. Think of Joan of Arc, a peasant girl who claimed visions, led armies, and was condemned as a heretic. Burned at the stake by her own church, only centuries later was she declared a saint. Stern is Warhammer's Joan, a woman cast out by her faith, yet still wielding it like a blade against the darkness. She burns daemons not with power, but with conviction, and that makes her terrifying to both chaos and the Imperium alike. Kyganil, he is the exile, the samurai without a master, the bard who walks forgotten roads, the warrior who cannot return to his people. But unlike so many broken wanderers, Kyganil finds redemption not in going home, but in carving a new one alongside someone just as lost. In Stern, he sees purpose. In Kyganil, she sees loyalty. Together they prove that outcasts can be more faithful than the faithful and more holy than the holy. That is why their story resonates, because it isn't just about survival. It's about how legends are born in exile, and how sometimes the galaxy's truest saints are the ones branded as heretics. Pop culture parallels. You've seen echoes of them before. Frodo and Sam, ordinary people carrying a burden far greater than themselves. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, a chosen girl marked by prophecy, standing against endless darkness. Geralt and Ciri protector, and chosen one bound by fate, hunted across worlds. Think of Geralt and Ciri. Their bond isn't one of blood, but of destiny. Geralt is the grizzled outcast, scarred by the world, mistrusted for what he is. Ciri is the chosen child, marked by prophecy, hunted by powers she doesn't fully understand. Together, they don't just fight monsters, they fight the crushing weight of destiny itself. Stern and Kyganil carry that same energy. Stern, like Ciri, is chosen but cursed, marked by prophecy, pursued by enemies who fear her power as much as they need it. Kyganil, like Geralt, is the exile, the outsider whose blades are as much a burden as they are a weapon. Their bond is forged not by blood, but by shared survival, hunted across the stars, never safe, yet stronger together than either could ever be alone. Now imagine Star Wars, but instead of Jedi Masters, it's a battle nun branded a heretic and a clown exile with twin blades, fleeing across the galaxy, chased not by stormtroopers but by daemons. The saint and the outcast are the strangest of duos, and yet their contradiction is their strength. Psychology of exile and faith. Why their story matters. Why do we love stories of exiles? Because they reveal how fragile belonging truly is. One wrong choice, one accusation, one twist of fate, and the world that once embraced you turns its back. Exiles remind us that identity is never fixed, and that the line between loyalty and outcast can be razor thin. Why do saints endure? Because humanity craves miracles, even dangerous ones. We want to believe that when all seems lost, someone will rise against the impossible. Saints carry both hope and fear. Hope that they will save us, fear that they may burn too brightly and consume us all. Together, Stern and Kyganil embody the paradox of rejection and destiny. Cast out by their people, yet carried forward by prophecy. Shunned by society, yet demanded by fate. They are hunted as heretics, but their very survival proves them chosen. And that paradox is what makes their story resonate. It is not clean or comfortable, it is chaotic, uncertain, often terrifying. Yet that chaos feels more human than perfection ever could. Because real faith, Real courage and real destiny are never easy. They are forged in fire, sharpened by exile, and proven in the moments when the galaxy itself screams for them to fail. That is why Stern and Kyganil endure, not because they fit neatly into prophecy, but because they never do. And here they are, Ephrael Stern and Kyganil, the saint and the outcast, a warrior of faith scarred by prophecy, and an exile who fights with shadows and steel. Two figures who never should have stood together yet became legends because they did. Next, time on Brush and Blood will descend into the filth and rot of Nurgle's hordes with the Poxwalkers, the shambling, plague-ridden dead who drown the Imperium in despair. Did you know? The Death Guard were once the Dusk Raiders, a loyal Space Marine legion known for their endurance and discipline. When Mortarion, their Primarch, joined the Emperor during the Great Crusade, he renamed them the Death Guard in honor of their relentless style of warfare. Even before their fall to Nurgle, they were infamous for never retreating no matter the cost. Now let's rate today's episode's model.
Yes! Not too bad.